Shroud Manager Christianity's Positions from Series 3. The shroud wrapped a corpse whose image and blood are recorded on it. The fit with Jesus is uncanny. Dozens of videos from this channel support the idea the shroud is real, that it wrapped a corpse. The burden of proof now shifts to those who claim it's a fake. Our approach is simple. To show the shroud can be faked, fakers must fake it. That is, simultaneously fake all three of the shroud's most obvious features: the image, the blood, and extensive fire and water damage under the patches. Then test the copy like the shroud's been tested and compare results. Here's a list of features that a faker should replicate or explain away. We'll illustrate two: invisibility and blood first, image second. Many shroud features are not visible without modern tools. If the shroud is fake, how could a forger craft features he couldn't see? And why include details invisible to his audience? Many of the serum rings can only be observed in UV photos. Microscopic dust and pollen reinforce the shroud's authenticity, but mostly can't be seen without magnification. The shroud is invisible closer than 6 feet away. The fake image must act like a photonegative. Hundreds of scourge wounds on the shroud image are so detailed, researchers identify 3 types of weapons used, the sequence inflicted, and the man's likely posture when tortured. Yet many of these wounds are only visible with 21st century tech. The shroud image contains cloth body distance information. This trait was unknown until 1970s technology processed a shroud photo, which produced a 3-dimensional response. Invisibility is hard to copy. If I was a faker, I'd first try to dismiss the evidence. For example, maybe traits that are invisible now were visible to the original forger. This explanation sounds reasonable, but the shroud hasn't faded in at least 500 years, so isn't likely. How do we know? This 1520s prayer book shows the shroud before the 1532 damage. The bishop's cape is a rich red, so we know the prayer book's colors didn't fade either. So half a millennium ago, the shroud image was as faint and the blood as pinkish red as we still see. Or maybe invisibility was just an accident, a byproduct unknown to the artist. For example, blood clots quickly, and dry blood doesn't transfer or shape easily. A faker might add lemon juice to slow clotting down. Are serum halos a byproduct? That's what this paper proposes. However, scholars disagree whether treated blood can produce halos, and there are no traces of anticoagulants on the shroud. More tests are needed. Either way, the fundamental challenge remains. How could the original forger ensure that hundreds of invisible serum rings look real in UV light? Second challenge: blood first, image second. Blood chemist Alan Adler experimented with bloody shroud fibers. He applied an enzyme that dissolves blood but not the image. When no image appeared beneath it, he concluded the blood was first and blocked the image from forming underneath it. This may sound minor, but it's not. How would fakers know where to smear the blood without landmarks? A simple experiment shows how bizarre this sequence is. Ask 10 people to draw a bloody Jesus. I predict everyone will draw the man's outline first, then place bloodstains. Or maybe the image formed when a cloth draped over an object. If blood was put on top of the object, the cloth would show the blood first. But all image by contact theories are problematic. Look at this arm. The blood clearly contours the elbow, but where's the image? Also, the image would be distorted. It's not. So we see the image didn't form by contact. Or maybe the blood was on second, but dissolved the image underneath. This paper proposes tests to confirm or refute this. These tests should be run. However, untested speculation doesn't upend Adler's microscope. Besides, other evidence support Adler's conclusion. This paper contends that image formation altered the shroud's chemistry, turning the bare linen's starchy coating straw yellow and its blood pinkish red. If the image was on first, shroud blood would be dark brown, the typical color of old blood. Simple inference also supports Adler's view. Videos 3.8, 9, and 10 conclude the sudarium covered the man's head until replaced by the shroud. The sudarium has a lot of blood but no image. So we know the image came later, after the man bled and he was wrapped in the shroud. Okay, let's say a resourceful faker solved all these challenges and reproduced on a single cloth the image and the three categories of bloodstains: scourge wounds that didn't break the skin, a large post-mortem side wound of blood and water, and smaller punctures surrounded by clear serum rings with blood trails that contour a 3D body. The finished copy must then be subjected to the same conditions that damaged the shroud. The fire and water damage came during the night of December 4th, 1532, when flames engulfed the shroud's chapel. The folded-up shroud's ornate silver casket became so hot that part of the lid dropped into its interior. This was quickly doused with water. Damage from the molten lid was extensive, as seen in these repairs. Like on the shroud, the copy's blood and image chemistry should be altered near the heat damage. Last, the faker must run the same tests on the copy as the shroud has undergone and compare results. In sum, the claim that the shroud is fake is widespread, but weak. Unless and until a fake satisfies this video's guidelines, we conclude the shroud is real. Next, we begin the fourth and final series with reasons to believe the shroud is ancient.